Hello and welcome from me, Philip Nothard, and Curtis Hutchinson to the special Motor Trade Radio podcast brought to you in association with eBay Motors Group. So many thanks again for joining us for this in the 10th in our series of special interviews themed around sharing best practices as car retailers manage their way through the COVID-19 crisis. Previous interviews with people such as Sytner's Group, Darren Edwards, Virtue Motors, Robert Forrester, the IMDA's Umesh Samani, and Volvo UK's MD, Chris Nelverforce, and the last week's chat with David Billsborough from Cheshire Cars are also available to stream on the online motortraderadio.com, Spotify, Apple and Google podcasts.
So today we're delighted to welcome David Peel, Managing Director of Peugeot Motor Company. David's been at the helm of Peugeot since 2016, before which he ran Robinson Day and the PSA Retail Group. So for an OEM boss, David has a unique perspective on car retailing. So many thanks for joining us, David. And how's the lockdown going for you personally? It must be challenging running a car company from home.
Yeah, thank you, Curtis. Well, first, it is very different. And yes, it's certainly very challenging. We've been focusing on two priorities. Our first priority at Peugeot is safety first, putting our teams, retailers and customers, as paramount first priority for safe operating on everything we do. And clearly the second priority that we've been working on is the economical impact throughout our collaborative businesses to make sure that we restart the economy as soon as possible. So if I go back to that first priority of safety protocols, we have the benefit of being obviously part of a global group, and we have been learning quickly from countries that have experienced the pandemic before us. So we've had the benefit of that experience, to have the best levels of protocol for safety that we can implement with our network. So a lot of work has gone on that front. On the second element, obviously we need to support our retail network, and we've done that from the very start. So we've helped them managing their cost base, which is really important, and we've also helped them through the furloughing period and some of the different changes that have come from the government. Now, obviously, Peugeot, like everyone else, we've moved to working from home, maximising digital tools to continue to run our business. And I have to say, from a personal perspective, this has been a challenge. Changing the normal way of working to one of working in isolation has been, a shock to us all. But, I personally miss the personal interaction with the team, but I feel we've adapted well. We're communicating digitally, and it's already starting to feel much more efficient and effective. But today, I guess, with limited people at Peugeot, it really is all hands to the pump. We're all putting in long days, but it's worth it because we feel we've now prepared very well for the restart that we are now starting to experience.
And as part of that, I guess, like a lot of us, you're using Zoom or something similar a lot for your meetings.
Yeah, sure. We're trying to use a lot of new digital tools, and it's proving, that everybody has adapted really quickly. So yeah, for sure. We've gone from using them now and again to relying on them every day, but making them very effective. Yeah. So it's we've surprised ourselves, I guess, how quickly we've adapted.
Hi, David, and welcome to the show. It's been a pleasure having you on, obviously. So obviously, as a business, we locked down on the 23rd of March, there and thereabouts, and obviously along with the rest of the country. In terms of operational, with Peugeot and your retail dealer network, how did you manage that in terms of that process? And obviously, the state of play now as we're sort of talking about the restriction lift and what's happening next?
Well, thanks, Phil. I guess the first point is, how long have you got? Because a lot has happened at Peugeot for sure. I think the first point I want to make is that, for the last 4 years, we've worked very collaboratively with our dealer partners under a stronger together mantra. So we have a very close working relationship, and I think that's been key. For example, we've had twice weekly calls with our National Dealer Council. And that's been really important in keeping us close to the front line. We make sure that we send out weekly updates on all the key information to the network. And we have a once a week Friday midday call with all of the general managers from every site, with all the live actions from the week, with a live Q&A to be able to cascade that latest information. From a PSA group perspective, I think we've obviously seen huge benefits of pulling together the PSA brands in the UK, and we've worked collaboratively across sort of 23 different work streams, having daily meetings, sharing best practice and sharing the latest news. So that's really helped us make sure we pull all the latest information together in the most effective way possible. So our first actions at Peugeot was a support package, which we introduced really in the first week of the crisis back in March, which was really important. And that included supporting retailer cash flow. It included reducing the complexity of our standards and programs, and it was really well received from our network partners. We came out of the block so quickly. As Peugeot showrooms closed, obviously so did our plants, and that was to ensure the safety of all of our staff globally. And as we have announced recently, all of our plants are now ready with all of the safety protocols in place, and in fact some of them have already restarted, again ensuring the safety of our people is put first. But the remaining teams have definitely been working flat out, as I've said before, planning a restart, and safety protocols from our European learnings has been absolutely forefront of everything we've done. So the first priority was to keep the Peugeot workshops open for essential workers, and about 50% of them have remained open throughout with skeleton staff, and our parts hubs have remained open as well to provide supply to those key workers that needed our service during this time. Secondly, we've been planning for safe delivery of our outstanding deliveries for March, but also throughout we've been providing the latest updates, as I said, on furloughing, and that included there was a confusion with the network on commission inclusion in the furloughing, so we gave them a lot of support on a daily basis with live government feedback on a daily basis to make sure that they could make the right decisions when it came to furloughing. I've said already we've got a very collaborative Peugeot retail relationship, and our dealer council relationship has allowed us to be really agile, where we've taken learnings from the front line on a live basis, which has again really helped us make decisions quickly. And then we got to a point where we implemented safe home deliveries for the undelivered March orders, as well as, of course, our online sales, which more recently has developed into a click and collect for all of our remaining outstanding orders. And now, as we speak, all Peugeot sites have now implemented or in the process of implementing the robust PSA safety protocols to ensure that the customers are safe and the retailer staff are safe. And they've now started communicating that to social media, so all of our customers can see that the experience they're going to get when we do reopen is, to the highest level. So the key message, I guess, from us is there's been a lot of hard work, there's been a lot of communication collaboratively with the network, but Peugeot has restarted and we're ready to go.
And then, David, just picking up on a point you made there about March. I mean, obviously, as we know, the lockdown happened during the rollout of the new plate. How much work is there left to do to fulfil any outstanding 20 plate orders?
Well, thanks for the question first, Curtis. And yes, you're right. This pandemic could not have hit the auto industry in the UK at a worse time, being mid-March. As we know, within hours of lockdown, deliveries throughout the industry stopped virtually overnight, and that created numerous different issues for us. But the first thing we did at Peugeot was to make sure that we've been in regular contact with our customers, making sure that they're kept informed. We've been throughout the period working on some home delivery, and as I speak, cars continue to be delivered. But I guess the reality is that the work at Peugeot is already done. We put the graft in over the last 8 weeks, and we're ready. Network preparation has been ongoing throughout that period, And as I've said already, the Peugeot sites now have all the safety protocol implemented to ensure we can deliver those outstanding orders for March and April. And, as we see it now day by day, since Click and Collect was approved last week, we are seeing more and more cars being delivered. So in answer to your question, Curtis, the hard work's been done. We're now in the process of just delivering the remaining cars from March.
So do you believe that for yourself from a PSA perspective, obviously the 1st of June is the date that everybody's working to at the minute, and we know that it's subject to change. And as you mentioned earlier, for everybody's trying to react to government information as it comes out and relay it and convey it and understand it, and as you say, around the commissions and the furlough. But do you believe that the network is ready now for the 1st of June to sort of start handing over these outstanding deliveries and any orders that have been sort of taken throughout the lockdown?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. As I've already covered, I guess, quite a few of the items with regarding sort of the June the 1st opening. Because we are already, well into the process of delivering, the majority of the cars that were outstanding from March and April. But I guess, the most important part of this is that, I think the Peugeot communication has been a key ingredient. We've made sure that we've been communicating with everybody on a regular basis to keep everybody up to speed. Now, a number of sites closed completely, and throughout the period, we've had as high as 90% of our retailers' teams being furloughed. So you can understand the challenges that will bring. We've been personally involved in talking to our retail national groups and regional groups to try and work together to make sure that we support them in their restart. But we've also been working really hard to be in contact with the sort of single private owner drivers, so that the same level of contact has come from the brand, regardless whether it's Robert Forrester and Virtue, or whether it's just a single owner driver, which we felt was key. We've also issued a digital restart guide earlier this month that includes all of the communications that we've passed out over the last sort of 8 or 9 weeks, which again we thought was important to make sure all of the comms were all in one place. And this covers 100% of all of our restart actions that required by Peugeot. We've also, as a brand, made sure that we provided a supply of all PPE requirements to support the network, because, as you know, throughout this period, getting hold of PPE equipment has been challenging. So we have sourced it centrally and made sure that we provided that for our network to make sure everybody has access to it. And we've also, once we put the safety protocols in place, we've made sure that we've put in a walk the floor daily safety protocol check that the general manager will need to do, because we feel it's as important to ensure that the maintenance of these safety protocols is maintained as well as the implementation. So that's all in place and being communicated to everybody. We've also created a Peugeot Restart Guide as a training tool, which has also been issued to all of our furloughed network teams, because again, we think it's really important that they have a sort of pre-return familiarization and an understanding and even an acclimatization of everything that's changed whilst they've been away, so that we don't get those restart hangovers, when the teams start to come back, as they are starting to now as we speak. We've also weighted our digital activity to communicate to all of our customers that we're ready. So we have online videos actually showing all of the safety protocols are in place to give customers the confidence. And we're ready, not just for June the 1st, but with processes and protocol that can be maintained for months to come. And we have the benefit as well, and you mentioned it earlier, Curtis, that I used to run our retail group, Robinson Day. So of course we're working very closely with those teams, and they're leading by example, because today all of their sites have reopened and they are ready for the restart. So once again, I'm absolutely confident that the 8 or 9 weeks of intense planning and hard work that we've put in is ready and is going to pay off, because this is the second or third time I've said it, but we really feel we're ready. And now we're reliant on the government to make sure that we have that green light to open showrooms as soon as possible.
Now, David, I seem to recall conversations with you, probably going back a couple of years now, about your online platform, about launching an online platform and offering click and collect. The platform's up and running, and I just wonder what role it's played in both facilitating those current orders that you were talking about, as well as future orders. And maybe you can shed a bit of light on what your expectation is in terms of what proportion will online sales take in the future, because as we've said, we're operating in a new normal now, and online seems to be the sort of direction of movement.
Yeah, sure. And thanks, Curtis. Another really good question. And as you said, at Peugeot, we were one of the first to have this end-to-end buy online platform that started in 2017. We definitely see digital as an integral part of the car buying process moving forward, and we feel it's hugely important that we develop a growing online presence. However, importantly, all of our online sales do get credited to the retailer chosen by the customer. And I think this is really important because the Peugeot network is also 100% supportive of our digital approach. So we're not doing anything outside of our relationship with the network. It's completely collaborative. Now, Peugeot Buy Online, just to be clear, it is end-to-end. So it gives you the opportunity to build a car, choose your finance package, get a guaranteed part exchange valuation, choose your retailer, choose home delivery or collection, pay a deposit, and then complete the sale, all unaided and online. And we have definitely seen the level of customer interaction, growing progressively since we started this back in 2017. Now, whilst the volumes of orders generated online are still modest, we know that a significant amount of the volumes of additional customers, have now adopted this digital blended approach where they configure their next vehicle and finance package digitally from, the comfort of their own home, and then physically visit their local retailer to see their new car in the metal, take the test drive, etc., before placing the order. We also have, as part of the Buy Online platform, it's supported by a team of dedicated concierge people who are available to sort of handhold customers as well throughout the process, whether that be via phone, email, or live chat, to make sure that people, if they want to have the complete online experience, they can get through that process, without having any sort of concerns. We are constantly improving our buy online experience for our customers. Last month, for example, we launched the exclusively for you offer, which is, a specific bespoke offer for the customer. And we have lots more sort of exciting updates planned in the coming weeks. But, no doubt a bigger proportion of our sales will come this way in the future. I look at it, give you an example. So, for example, 10 years ago, the vast majority of customers used the web to research their next holiday, but still then visited their local travel agent to complete the booking. If you fast forward to 2019, 47% of customers booked their holiday online. So, you can see it's quite clear how this is going to develop. And certainly, we put a lot of focus on making sure that our digital presence, is growing, as the years tick by.
And do you think the current COVID crisis will actually accelerate that movement to online?
Yeah, you mentioned it at the start of the question. There is definitely going to be a new normal. We've definitely seen more activity digitally whilst people are sort of at home and on furlough. So without a doubt, I think the whole world globally is going to see an acceleration into digital activity, whether that be working from home digitally or purchasing stuff online digitally. So yeah, without a doubt, I think this is going to certainly accelerate that sort of process.
Yeah, and I mean, you've covered obviously the click and collect service that obviously the dealers are now operating to, and I think, as you say, you were fairly early in terms of OEMs in that buy online proposition, that digital proposition, weren't you? And I think you obviously, do you feel that has really put you ahead of where you may have been without that online end-to-end proposition then in where you are today? Because it's some manufacturers, some OEMs aren't necessarily in that position, are they? And they haven't got that facility to be able to operate that way. Do you believe that that's given you a good position throughout this?
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Yeah, for sure. You can definitely see over the last few weeks that there are other sort of OEMs that have started sort of a reserve online or some form of, enhanced digital sort of experience for their customers. But, ours is end to end, and this is, as I said earlier, this is the ability to, we even value the part exchange online and stand by it even without seeing it. The customer can have their finance proposed and agreed online completely end to end. So without a doubt, we feel we have an advantage. But I guess another key element is that, today, 2020, Peugeot strategy is the power of choice. Now, this primarily relates to choose your model, choose your powertrain, because we've moved to a position now where we can offer customers petrol, diesel, or full electric or plug-in hybrid in all of our models across the range. And this power of choice can also be used to describe the delivery options that customers can now select from. So, home delivery, which from April has now been free of charge, click and collect, as we just talked about, but we still have a percentage of customers who still prefer the traditional experience delivery from our retailers through their dedicated handover areas. And of course, all of the safety protocols are in place to ensure we can still do that. So, we've also added new digital handover guides that have been created to ensure that all customers opt into the home delivery or click and collect still receive that comprehensive explanation of their car with all of the various features, which is still really important. So we can respect the social distancing, but still give that customer, an introduction to their vehicle, which is really essential. However, I guess today the majority of customers are still opting for retailer collection, and it's important, I think, because most consumers they want the ease of looking and researching and maybe pushing the button online, but they still want that connection with their local retailer. They want to build a relation for future after sales requirements. That said, we still also have a number of customers who want that completely 360-degree true online experience with a car arriving outside their house. So there is a mix. We are learning, but we are certainly moving quicker in the direction of sort of digital and online than we were prior to COVID. But my opinion is that I still think that a balanced mix of what customers want will remain.
And one final question on the online service. Your new model launch pipeline is looking very healthy at the moment, and that includes vans, which is something we haven't spoken about. So I'm just wondering what role the platform will play in new model launches from 2020 onwards.
Okay, thanks, Curtis. And I guess that's a very timely question for us, as you just said, because 2020, is the year that Peugeot is launching 12 new models. Yeah. And that includes, our fabulous new E208, E2008 full electric vehicles and our 3008 508 plug-in hybrids. So it's a huge year for us. And our Peugeot Buy Online platform offers exactly the same functionality and availability for all of our vehicles. Our Peugeot customers can buy, all of our range through the online platform, so there is no difference, whether it's a new vehicle to market or whether it's a current one. So it's the same functionality across the range. Now, you specifically mentioned vans. We are, as we speak, extending our Buy Online to all LCV product, and you'll see that very shortly. So a simple answer, I guess, is that the Peugeot online offering today offers exactly the same range of models as you would get in our showrooms, and that's how we plan for it to continue.
Yeah, it sounds though we've got an exclusive there, David.
Yeah, maybe.
Just thinking obviously about the new car market, and obviously there's a lot of conversation taking place on this subject now, but does the UK automotive sector need a market stimulus to kickstart the new car market?
Okay, thanks, Phil. And again, a very topical question, I guess. I think I'd like to start very clearly by saying that, at Peugeot, we want to take responsibility for kickstarting the industry ourselves. Everything I've said already demonstrates that we are doing our very best to do just that. We want to stimulate the pent-up natural demand that we know is in the marketplace before we start talking of any type of stimulus packages. For the past 8 or 9 weeks, we have been doing exactly as I just said. We've been supporting key and essential workers with after-sales facilities open in a safe way. We've been delivering new vehicles to people's homes, and now we're delivering the remaining March and April orders, as I've just said, before the showrooms open, hopefully June the 1st or before. We also know that people won't want to use public transport after this sort of pandemic, and maybe they will look for a new car. So we see this as an opportunity. Excuse me. But we also know that the economic situation is going to have an impact as well. So the talk of any support could certainly, in our view, create a lag while customers then wait. If there's a lot of press speculation, and nobody can afford that in the current situation. So I think the industry needs to restart itself with the natural demand that's there. And then it needs to be reviewed when the industry has had the opportunity to do that, and then assess what's necessary. From a Peugeot perspective, though, our view is that any stimulus package needs to be focused around CO2, and not just ultra low emission vehicles, because today, as well as the sort of LEVs and plug-in hybrids, there are many very good internal combustion engines that still provide a very low emissions, and there's lots of those good vehicles in the marketplace. So our position would be that any stimulus package needs to be focused around CO2, and it will then encourage customers in the marketplace to go into low emission vehicles, which I think we all know is really important. And we'd also like to see a cap on that value, because we need to make sure that whatever stimulus is in place is there to help the people that need that help most.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very logical view in terms of that stimulus from elsewhere that could delay that kickstart, because, as you say, there's a view of pent-up demand, pent-up volume that's sat there, and you want to get going and as quickly as possible, and you don't want, like you say, consumers waiting for what may or may not come.
Exactly.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. It's a good point made.
Thank you.
And finally, David, we were talking before we started recording that that there's no template for any of us at the moment for what we're going through. So I'm just wondering what the biggest challenges have been for you in leading a car brand during the crisis, and what your hopes are for the sector.
Well, yes, as we talked about earlier, Curtis, for me, it's the speed and the scale that it hit us that was unprecedented. And, even though we could see it coming, across European countries, I think we were all taken by surprise at how quick it hit the UK. I think the important point is that, the impact on people and their safety has been paramount, for everything we do. And that has always been top of our priority list. One of the biggest challenges has been the unknown. We talked earlier, we've never experienced anything like this before, so there's no roadmap. But this is, I think, where the Peugeot team, with their stronger together mantra with the network, really has that opportunity to sort of shine. And every day agility is now our favourite word. Our industry, as you know, has huge overheads and low margins. And therefore, we can't afford to stop. And we've definitely been focused on reducing, not only our cost base, but our network's cost base, and limiting any type of cash out during this period to protect our collaborative businesses. But I guess I really feel that, it feels as if every day we find solutions and we create plans, working really hard, and then, no more than a couple of days pass before something else changes and we have to go again. And, that's where we need to make sure we remain really, really agile. Now, I guess, certainly better clarity on government communications would have helped us as well, because that's taken time to understand and interpret exactly what those changes have meant. So that could have helped. But I also would like to say, sort of, formally, that I think, we as an industry feel that the government has done a fabulous job with the furlough scheme, because without doubt that would have, that has saved many of our businesses, and
Yes.
without it, we'd have been in a much, much worse position. So in summary, I guess it's been a huge challenge, that the Peugeot team and PSA have supported each other really strongly throughout this. And we're confident that we're ready to go again in a very safe and responsible way. So my final point, I guess, to your question is, what are my hopes for the sector? I think it's simple, that the government approved showroom reopenings as soon as possible. That is key, because if we can make factories safe for thousands of people, as we have done and demonstrated, there should be no reason for us not to deliver that protocol through open, expansive showrooms. And if estate agents and garden centres can do it, then why not us?
Yeah.
So, in conclusion, I guess we are ready. And certainly for the UK economy, the auto industry needs the wheels turning again as soon as possible.
So I mean, great insight and perfect observations there, as you say. I mean, we wish the showrooms were as busy as some of the garden centres on a hot sunny bank holiday weekend, don't we? Sometimes, but
Exactly.
I think those days are long gone, where we've got people queuing up outside a car showroom and worried about social distancing too much. But I fully agree. But I mean, it's been a pleasure, David, and thanks very much for coming on. And for me, wish you all the best, and let's hope we get a speedy recovery and back to some sort of new normality of trading. So again, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for that, and Curtis. It's been great to talk to you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no, many thanks for joining us, David, and good luck with the restart. Unfortunately, that's all for now. You've been listening to this special Motor Trade Radio podcast brought to you in association with eBay Motors Group. Please like and share on social media, as it's important during these times for the dealer community to work together and share experiences and best practices. Many thanks to you for listening and supporting the podcast. Philip and I will be back with the industry headlines on Saturday, but do watch out for more special podcast interviews as we work our way through this crisis. Until then, do stay safe and stay well.